I read this book called The Screwtape Letters when I was in high school, and it's essentially a letter between a veteran demon and a novice demon, and he's giving him advice about how to defeat Christians, essentially. And there's this whole chapter where the thesis is more or less just keep them distracted. Because if you let them experience great tragedy, that will often cause them to run to God. And if you allow them to experience great joy, well, they'll often celebrate God for that. But if you can keep them just bickering over things that don't matter in this kind of distracted middle space, and I just think that is such a picture for this modern moment right now, where I get questions a lot as a pastor, questions like, oh, is this technically a sin? I'm like, I don't think that's the right question at all. The question should be, does this help me run? Does this help me grow? And I think when we go through this life distracted either from the people that are in our midst or what it is that God wants to call us into, I think that that's a really brilliant tactic of the enemy, because it's less obvious. Most of us aren't tempted to go out and rob a bank. Most of us have a sense of like, oh, that's probably not the right thing to do. But this distracted middle space, this sort of like sleepwalking state, I have spent so much of my life just waiting until the next season. I remember finding a bunch of my old journals. There's this theme that emerged all throughout my childhood. Oh, I can't wait until. And it was, oh, I can't wait until junior high. That's when I'll really mature. Or like, oh, I can't wait until high school. That's when I'm gonna really find out who I am. Or I can't wait until college. I think that's just as much distraction. I feel like the Lord was saying, you've been sleepwalking through entire seasons of your life, and you are missing what I'm doing right now. It's Jacob's prayer in Genesis, where he says, surely the Lord was in this place and I was not aware of it. And I do not want to live my life like that. I don't want to get to 80 years old and say, man, surely the Lord was doing something there. I was too busy, too distracted, too focused on stuff that ultimately didn't matter to miss what he was doing right here and now. My buddy Hugh says that kingdom work is like archaeology. He says the role of the Christian is to unearth where God is already at work, wherever we're at. Because God's presence is never what's lacking. We're always in his presence. What's lacking often is our awareness of it. Brother Lawrence talks about in the practice of the presence of God, the role of the Christ follower is to learn to be in two places at once. Commuting to work and in the presence of God. Doing the dishes and in the presence of God. For me, it's not only that God is with us, that we're then called to the same withness with others. Presence is the medium of love. Philippians 2 is that he didn't consider equality with God something to grasp or to cling to, but he emptied himself out. He poured himself out, became human, and was obedient all the way to death on a cross. And then Jesus says to his people, now go and do likewise. Like, we're to be an embodied people. To incarnate the gospel message means to be a people of presence. You know, David Augsburger says, being listened to is so close to being loved that for the average person, they're almost indistinguishable. Like, think about the last time somebody who was really like with you, and they weren't like checking their phone, and they weren't turning off their watch. Like, presence is the medium of love. So that should become a refrain for me. Lord, help me to be more aware of your presence in these common, ordinary, seemingly mundane moments where I'm so prone to distraction and sleepwalking, and just help me to see better with your eyes the people that I encounter and what it is that you want to do through me. And that's a dangerous prayer. I'll warn you. It'll mess with your calendar. It'll mess with your agenda a lot. It's been a really kind of beautiful realization that, man, the Lord's up to a whole lot more than I ever anticipated.
Thanks so much for watching. You might be aware that Stream Studio is a crowd-funded non-profit, and if you'd be interested to see more videos like the one you've just watched, perhaps you'd consider a small monthly donation. There's a link in our bio which will give you full details.